If you enjoy the Hard Rock all-inclusive experience, but you're looking for something a bit more approachable, affordable, something different, something maybe a bit more fresh, Planet Hollywood may be the solution. There are two marquee all-inclusive Planet Hollywood resorts. One would be in Costa Rica and the other one in Cancun. They are fraternal twins separated at birth, two very opposite sides of the same coin. And in this video, I'm going to tell you which one to choose based on what you prioritize. And this is extremely important. Depending on what you prefer is going to dictate the hotel. The individual categories are extremely lopsided. So pools, beach, nightlife, crowd, that's one. Luxury, food, and drinks, that's another. Now, two quick things. Number one, all of the footage is mine. I stayed at both resorts for 4 nights each, and I did everything, literally everything at each property. And then number two, Planet Hollywood Cancun is actually 2 resorts in one. There is a standalone adults only section, and it basically is its own resort. It has its own lobby, its own pools, its own restaurant. Because Costa Rica is entirely all ages, AKA family friendly, and because the main part, pretty much the core part of Planet Hollywood Cancun is all ages, AKA family friendly, I'm just going to compare the 2 main properties. The properties themselves are extremely different. Cancun is a sprawling, massive piece of land. I think it's almost 50 acres, extremely walkable, extremely flat. I think from tip to tip, from the beach to the lobby, it's about a half mile. And even though it is large, it is extremely easy to find your way around and to navigate. Planet Hollywood Costa Rica, on the other, is not. It's not really even a property. It's basically just a cliff. If you were to flatten it out, there really isn't much landscape or property there. It's a beach, a pool, the rooms, and then the lobby. And then because it is on a cliff, there is no walkability. 95% of the people choose to take the carts, which is a minor annoyance and minor inconvenience. They are running every couple of minutes all throughout the day and night, but you do have to wait for a cart to get to where you want to go. And if you do want to walk, you better be in phenomenal shape because getting up and down that hill is no joke. Rooms are a huge category. They are similar at both properties in style, size, and in spacing. Both rooms were fresh, modern, and comfortable. The rooms at Planet Hollywood Cancun did feel newer and certainly were more vibrant, but also at the same time, they were more artificial and synthetic. The rooms at Planet Hollywood Costa Rica were more luxurious and welcoming. They didn't feel like an all-inclusive resort, which is one of the biggest compliments I can give an all-inclusive resort hotel room. But even though they were more upscale and plush and a little more comfortable, they lacked the vibrance, moxie, maneuverability, and most importantly, the soundproofing that could be found at Planet Hollywood Cancun. The rooms were loud. All right, let's talk food. This category is mission critical. If you have any iota of taste or any discernment for what quality food is, pay close attention. Both of these properties are Blue Diamond properties, which basically means they are part of the Royalton conglomerate. If you've stayed at a Royalton property before, then you know that food is not a strength, and that is putting it very, very kindly. But Planet Hollywood Costa Rica is an anomaly, and that's because it was not originally a Planet Hollywood resort. A lot of times when a property gets sold and rebranded, the underlying DNA transfers over from the old hotel. A great example of this is Wyndham Ultra Playa del Carmen. When that property transferred over from the Grand to Wyndham Ultra, they kept 90% of the old staff. And I think it's a huge reason why overall the property is unbelievably luxurious for a Wyndham Ultra. Planet Hollywood Costa Rica has a similar story. Originally, it was an Allegro property. And although I don't have a lot of experience with that brand, the luxury, which I'll touch on momentarily, and the food quality undoubtedly carried over to it. It had to because it was probably one of the best things, if not the best thing, about this resort. And that is another huge statement considering I'm talking about a Royalton property in Costa Rica. The food at Planet Hollywood Cancun is in line with what I've experienced at other Royalton properties. It is a major weakness, especially for the all ages section. The adults only section, footnote, was a little better, in fact, a lot better, but still overall, food is going to be a blemish for this property. The beach is another hyper important category, and the one at Planet Hollywood Costa Rica is a black sand beach. Black sand beaches remind me a lot of the G-Wagon because they are so ugly, they're actually kind of cool. The best thing about the one at Planet Hollywood Costa Rica is in the morning when the tide is really low and the sand is wet and the sunlight reflects off it, and it creates some type of rainbow ultraviolet blue effect that is really quite spectacular. But overall, the beach is ugly. It's small, the sand is wet and heavy, and in general, it feels more like a river beach experience than an ocean beach experience. For a Cancun beach, the one at Planet Hollywood Cancun, it's average, but when you consider that Cancun has some of the very best beaches in the world, average in Cancun is great overall. You won't get awestruck like you could in the hotel zone, but the water is usually really clear, the waves are gentle, and the actual stretch of white sand is both ultra wide and ultra long. The energy and vibe at both of these properties were very reflective of their locations. The vibe at Planet Hollywood Costa Rica was classy, laid back, comfortable, and relaxing with undertones of upbeat fun. The vibe at Planet Hollywood Cancun was a tale of two cities. During the day, the resort was shockingly quiet given the size and popularity of the resort. And when you couple that with the adult-only crowd choosing to stay next door, it created an unlikely serene experience. At night, though, it is a different story. The options are condensed, crowds swell, producing packed venues everywhere. This one is extremely important. Maybe the most important depending on who you talk to, and that would be the drinks. Usually Royalton properties, aka Blue Diamond properties, they have decent drink menus. But Planet Hollywood Costa Rica's was taken to the next level. In fact, in terms of Blue Diamond Royalton, it is in a league of its own. I'm not going to say the mixology was on level with a Garza Blanca. It's not. But I had some drinks that were literally unforgettable. But the drinks at Planet Hollywood Cancun, they were just straight forgettable. Usually Blue Diamond Royalton, they have decent drink menus, but I could not remember a thing about the drinks at Planet Hollywood Cancun. I'm not saying they're bad. I just am saying they are extremely lackluster. I remember every drink menu at every Royalton property except the ones at Planet Hollywood Cancun. This category is extremely important to me. It's one of the most important, and that would be the pools, which is ironic after living in San Diego for a decade. It's also ironic that Planet Hollywood Costa Rica just has one pool. I guess technically it is two, but it's basically one giant rectangle separated by a walkway. It did have ample space, more than enough room for everybody on property. I liked the bookend swim-up bars, as well as being enveloped by the cliffs and seeing the lobby perched on top of them. But the style was bland, and so was the overall experience, which is disappointing for Planet Hollywood, especially considering the situation at the beach. My experience at the Planet Hollywood Cancun pools was bland as well, but I actually netted that one as a positive considering the size of the property and the number of people staying there. The pool design and the layout, that wasn't bland at all. There were several different pools and they differed in size, style, and in situation. The little kids' pools were perfect for keeping the small ones happy, safe, and comfortable, and that also freed up space for the adults who are staying on the general side. There was a shallow tanning pool. There was a gigantic main pool with several different sections, and there was a fan favorite lazy river, a rather impressive one, by the way, given that this is an all-inclusive resort. I have 3 left. I'm going to do them rapid fire. They kind of all tie together. Luxury. Planet Hollywood Cancun is not a luxury resort, but it had elements of luxury. Undertones, if you will. A lot of the upscale feel comes from the freshness of the resort, coupled with the futuristic style and the cleverly chosen materials, which look upscale, but actually are not. For the price, which I'll talk about next, it overachieved in luxury. Planet Hollywood Costa Rica also overachieved in luxury. And I think a lot of that, again, has to do with it not being a Planet Hollywood resort originally. It overachieves in luxury, which is incredible because it costs twice as much as Planet Hollywood Cancun. To be twice the price of Planet Hollywood Cancun and still overachieve in luxury, it would have to be double the plushness, double the luxury, and it was. Price and value. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get for the price. I paid $200 to $250 a night for my experience at Planet Hollywood Cancun, and I left feeling that I received so much more from the experience than what I paid for in that amount. I paid around $400 to $450 a night for Planet Hollywood Costa Rica, and though I didn't leave with any regrets, I didn't leave ecstatic either. The value proposition was met, I got what I paid for, but barely. And then lastly, experience. And I judge this one two different ways. Well, overall, I judge it, would I go back? And then I look at it, would I go back based on the price? And then would I go back if price didn't matter, if there was no budget? If I did have a budget, absolutely. 100% of the time, Planet Hollywood Cancun is one of the greatest values you're gonna find at any all-inclusive. For the price, it is an absolute steal. And if price didn't matter, if there was no budget, I would go back, which is a crazy statement because it is a budget resort. I'd go back to the budget resort despite the droves of people and the forgettable drinks and the lackluster food, because overall it is such a cool experience. Costa Rica, surprisingly, is a no and a no. I would have never expected this. Again, I don't regret my stay, but I just wouldn't go back either way. What makes it good is also what makes it not so good. Because it was an existing property beforehand, the luxury and just the general quality, it translated over to Planet Hollywood. But because it wasn't born and raised with Planet Hollywood DNA, it felt off in continuity. And not in aesthetics either, just in the overall experience. So there you have it, Planet Hollywood Cancun versus Planet Hollywood Costa Rica, two very opposite sides of the same coin. Planet Hollywood Costa Rica wins in food and luxury and drinks, and then Cancun wins in the rest of the categories: rooms, nightlife, beach, crowd, energy, price, pools, experience, and plus you got the adult scene, which is where I would definitely stay. If you're booking a hotel in Cancun or in Punta Cana, make sure you go to my website and check out my price guides. They could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. They tell you when to book, what website to choose to get the absolute lowest price that's available. It gives you a target price, an average price for the entire year, an average price during rainy season, if that's when you're going, the average price during peak season, if that's when you're going, and then you can compare those and figure out if you're getting a deal or not. So if you want my Punta Cana price guide, I think there's like 70 plus resorts, or my Cancun price guide, I think there's 90 plus resorts. Check out my website, www.coolest.co.